We're in the arena floor level of the Alliant Energy Center Expo grounds. It's World Dairy Expo 2019, along with some new friends of ours, ST Genetics. My friend Jack Hippen, who I've known for a long time. He is their Director of Sales along with us from ST Genetics. Tell me about this company, my boy. Where are they? Where did they come from? What locations do you have?
You bet. We're headquartered in Navasota, Texas, just south of College Station. We have facilities in Pennsylvania, Ohio, 3 in Wisconsin.
Oh, wow.
And we're an international company. Started off with a sorting semen company.
Okay.
And about 6 years ago, Mr. Juan Moreno, one of our founders, decided we should sell genetics. So we're sorting and we're selling.
Wow.
We do both.
Excellent. Wow. So how is it caught on in Wisconsin specifically, but what are we talking about here at World Dairy Expo?
Really the name of the game right now is making the right heifer, making enough heifers, but not too many heifers. The biggest issue you could say is overpopulation of heifers. So sorted semen now is a viable product. It gets animals pregnant, but the biggest issue for us is teaching the management of the females. That's it.
Yeah, and this is a technology we've had for a little while, but with the economics in dairy, how do you help people understand by managing it this way they find a healthier bottom line, Jack?
Well, that's really the key is we sold sex semen, and we realized that it's one of those things. It's sort of like dairy equipment. I had a background in that. We were selling meters, we were selling IDs and sort gates, and you really weren't teaching the mechanisms or how to use that data to be profitable. And it really has come along. The biggest issue, and some of our technical people are going to talk to you later, more technical than myself, but it's really beef on dairy. Make the right heifers. The rest of it go to beef, and we're on our way, and that's really our biggest message right now.
Absolutely. You know, like we said, it's no surprise. It's not fantastic times in the dairy industry. How is the message being received, though? Because good management decisions are still welcomed by all facets of the industry.
Absolutely. The beef on dairy piece, everybody said, oh, yeah, I've been doing beef on dairy for years, but really heifer management, I'll keep going back to that. But right now, where the dairy industry is ahead of the beef industry is supply chain. They supply babies daily, weekly, monthly. Where you look at beef, it's a slug. A slug. And I love our beef people. Don't worry. As you can tell by me, I enjoy beef. But when you look at it, the spring is a big plug. Fall is not quite as big. We're that constant supply, and that's been well received. But really, the growers are the ones dictating it. They're saying, you're supplying me with a constant input of what product I need, so they're being paid for it.
Well, and as the consumer's preference changes, you are there able to give them guidance on how to reflect that in the herd.
Absolutely. Right now, we'll go through from a true basically financial mathematical. We'd say, hey, these are what the numbers say. This is where you need to be. This is how many females you need to do, and continue with it. And make the right animals and make the right number of animals and move on.
And that the other reason I like this, Jack Hippen's along with us from ST Genetics. The other reason why this makes sense to me is it works with any size operation, from a large size that may want that as a specific element of their marketing, or a smaller operation that has to value every animal sold.
Pam, a great point. This isn't just for 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 cow facilities. We have one of our tours on Wednesday. We have 4 tours set up. The smallest dairy is a 75 cow operation down by Darlington, 100% sex female and beef. And he could not be happier. Has not used a dose of conventional dairy semen in about 6 months.
Wow. Interesting. So those are the kinds of stories that you can hear if you stop by and visit with ST Genetics. Again, Jack Hippen's along with us. We'll be talking with other staff, giving you a little bit more information on this piece of technology. We are right now on the floor level of the arena where ST Genetics has a display. You're also in the exhibition hall.
Yes, we are. We're up against the back wall right when you walk in off to the right side. Love to see you.
Excellent.
Come see us.
Anything else in particular that you want people to notice when they're visiting with you, Jack?
Really just pay attention to your model. What's your dairy model say? What number should I have? Where am I at with it? And we have the staff to do that. We've really ramped up in what I call the technical support side, and that's really the critical.
Now listen, if you've never heard of the phrase ST Genetics, you stick around, or better yet, come and visit them at World Dairy Expo. 2 different locations, booth 4212 in the exhibition hall, or on the arena level, booth 156 in the Coliseum. So either location, you'll be able to talk to great guys like Kevin Zimba. He's our technical specialist from the East region with ST Genetics. You know, we were talking about the marketplace that ST Genetics is focused in on. You talk genetics at World Dairy Expo, and a lot of people start right away pulling out catalogs or pointing to the bull. You guys have a little bit different philosophy on how we're getting better performance out of those genetics.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the traditional AI model has changed quite a bit. I mean, it's much more the concept of how do we utilize technology, how do we utilize tools and management to improve that dairy. And the concept of just selling a bull to mate with a cow is something kind of the past, you know, because we want to improve the herd and add value to the dairy.
Yeah, and we were talking about how much quicker ST Genetics is helping to change that profile, advance that breed characteristic you're looking for. Explain that a little bit, Kevin.
Well, I think we really focus on the genetics that the modern dairy farmer wants, you know, and some of that's a medium-sized cow that's very efficient and profitable. And this modeling of beef on dairy, sex semen fits especially well into that because it's the concept that on 3 levels we can reduce the amount of heifers that are on that dairy that have an adverse economic impact. 2, we can decide what genetics to use on the best part of the herd and actually eliminate the bottom. And then the third thing, you know, by using beef, we can capture some value on those beef calves. So it's really a 3-phase, 3-prong approach to making genetic progress and improve that dairy's economic outlook.
Now, I know it's hard for you to fathom because, of course, in your mind, every heifer you have is valuable, has the next great set of genetics, but in reality, that doesn't always pan out. Like you said, Kevin, in these types of economically challenging times, recognizing that that body that's taking up feed and space still has to perform for you, it may not be milk. It's kind of a hard, sometimes it's hard for us to get our arms around that because we work so hard to make sure every heifer's the best.
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination of production, health and fitness, reproductive efficiency, but also like we have tools now like genomic testing, which ST provides as a resource as well. And we're able to identify those traits more accurately. And so by doing that, we can actually identify not only the best cows in the herd, but more accurately, without misidentification, who the best cows are in the herd. Because currently, the U.S. dairy population has a rate of misidentification of about 20%.
Wow!
And so that means 2 out of every 10 decisions that are being made are wrong.
Wow!
And so if we can actually help that dairy identify the right genes, the right cows, we've won for them.
Well, you know, and I was saying the other reason that I think ST Genetics resonates with a lot of the industry right now is it doesn't matter what size. It doesn't matter if you're grade or if you're registered or anything like that. You guys can make this kind of a model work. How do we get started? What do I do? I got 70 cows, Kevin. So every one of those girls matters to me. How do you guys get started with some of that information generation?
I think the first thing to identify is the goals for that dairy. That dairy that's 70 cows may have a model where they prefer combined fat and protein. And we would say to them, hey, how many heifers do you actually need every year to provide as replacements for that dairy? So then we work together to come up with the math and say, hey, you need about 5-6 heifers a month. So now we can come through and genomic test the herd and decide which one should be making the next generation and improve that dairy's performance, as opposed to just streamlining that dairy. You know, you want that dairy to be more progressive than your neighbor. You know, it's the only way you're going to capture some extra value.
And remember, he's not talking about size here. It's all about doing things correctly, using what you've got. And in that sense, if you don't have the genomic testing in line and correctly identified, you don't know what you've got. And even if I'm not real thrilled, this may take me time to get some of those bottom enders thinned out. Then again, back to that dairy on beef option.
Oh, yeah. And so by doing that, you may have a slower rate of gain on that genetics over time, but on those bottom animals, you're not going to be raising calves that are going to cost you money. And you're going to be able to make some beef cross calves that are actually going to add some return on investment. And actually, a third thing is really it's better for our dairy industry as a whole because we're overpopulated in some ways, and sometimes it's stated that sex semen is part of the problem, but it's actually part of the solution when it's used correctly.
Well, that's what I was going to say. When you look at it this way, and that's why I want to make sure that if you've ever worked with sex semen or that, come and talk to the SD Genetics folks and get their take on how this has evolved. Things have changed. There's a lot of tools we've had in dairy that we got all excited about, and then we walked away, and then all of a sudden, the next time around, we came back, and it really was working. Given the situation, like we said, a lot of heifers everywhere, sometimes feed shortages push our hand. This makes those decisions a whole lot easier and a whole lot more economically feasible.
Oh, for sure. It makes everything that you do just that level of accuracy. There's so much small room for error today in the dairy industry, and you have to treat it like a business. Even though it's a family-owned entity, it's still a business, and you got to have profitability.
Excellent. So that you're going to be hanging around for the show if they want to come and visit with you face to face.
I'll be here all week.
All right. That's the guy to look for, Kevin Zimmer. He's our technical specialist from the East Coast, well, New York State, and he's going to be around at World Dairy Expo visiting with folks just like you that are trying to find that economic bottom line, enhanced profitability. You know that you've had an awful lot of heifers in the past. Some of those heifers were fantastic, but not all of them, I'm guessing. Why don't you come and talk with the ST Genetics folks on how you can better manage not only those high-end heifers, but also middle-of-the-range kind of heifers, too, and still find profitability. Very interesting concept, and they're all over it. ST Genetics, they are located on the floor level of the arena, booth 156, or check them out also in the Alliant Energy Center Expo Hall, booth 4212, and online, of course. Thanks for joining us along with ST Genetics at World Dairy Expo. I'm fabulous farm babe Pam Young.